what's up, man?
I'm tingling. I am so
feeling
excited.
Good?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you excited? Yeah, I am. Are you excited for the same reason that I'm excited?
We must be. I demand it. I demand we are excited for the same reason. We're going to Lawrence.
And I are going to Lawrence, Kansas this weekend. Flight is booked. Rental car is booked. Accommodations are taken care of. Tickets have been procured. Plans have been made. All systems are a go for Nick and Mike take Lawrence.
Show it all gang rallying. It's going to be a movie, some would say. Some would say it'll be a movie, and I would say that.
What kind of movie? A thriller? Comedy? Rom-com, perhaps?
Feel good, uplifting. I do like a rom-com, coming-of-age story. But
there we go. That's it. Coming of age. That's the theme we're going for here, because I don't think there's going to be much action. I'm not sure there's going to be a ton of drama. I don't know if romance is going to be involved, but it's just
Is there a bad guy?
Yeah, that's the thing, though. No matter what genre of movie you have, there needs to be an antagonist, a protagonist, a villain,
who
comedic relief, and I would honestly say there needs to be some romantic interest. So I don't know how we're going to pull all of that off.
I can't do that, but we found someone is going to find love.
We're both the heroes. I think that much is true, right? Buddy, kind of like a buddy movie, Step Brothers-esque.
Yeah. No, we're the heroes.
And there has to be some sort of obstacle that we overcome. Actually, I think we already know this. The plot is already written. You and I descend upon Lawrence to save KU's season.
We're saving the season.
It's a season in need of saving. We rally the troops. We rally the Show It All gang. The Show It All army is going to come out. We get together and we take on the forces that are trying to keep Kansas from winning a national championship this year.
You know who you are? If you're keeping us from winning, and the Show It All gang is coming. Dream season? Still on the table. Still on the table.
Yeah. No, it's very much on the table, and it's going to be even more on the table on Sunday. Once the clock strikes midnight on Sunday, it's a new season. It's a new season for the Kansas Jayhawks. But first, do we have details that we can share?
Oh, yeah.
We have details we can share with the Show It All gang and let them know everything that's going on this weekend?
Yes. Saturday, we have rented out Bullwinkles. You've got to be we'll have a link. You have to RSVP. You get a +1. RSVP, come hang out. There will be food and drink. So Saturday, KU Texas game day. The game is at 5, 12 to 4 p.m. Food and beverage provided by Home Field Apparel. If you're in Home Field Apparel gear, or if you have a recent receipt, you can also drink for free. Open bar. So, bar at the Bowl, Show It All gang. You just have to RSVP so we have a good idea of head count because space is limited. It's going to be 65 degrees and sunny. I'm not a weatherman, but I am a scoopmeister, and it will be 65 and sunny.
Time out. We have to pause right there. It is February 24th on Saturday, and it's going to be 65 degrees and sunny in Larryville for the boys.
Bring your sunscreen. Bring a little sunscreen.
Unbelievable. See, okay, so I have a ton of home field gear. Wearing some right now. This may be the exact outfit I'm wearing, but like I'm a big home field hoodie guy, and I don't think it's going to be hoodie weather, which it's a blessing that you're going to be able to show up in a t-shirt at the Bowl. Some of the details you just revealed to me, by the way, I was not aware of. I didn't realize it was open bar if you're wearing home field gear. I thought it was just like a get together. I didn't realize we were going to be turning it up, turning that dial to 11 with free food and drink if you're wearing home field gear.
No.
This is insanity.
No. Free food and drink for everyone. Non-alcoholic drink. Free alcoholic drink if you're in home field gear. Dangerous. Even better.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Opie bar. Opie bar. at
You
the
know what?
bowling.
Show
it all gang.
I had a hell of a weekend a couple of weeks ago. Got a little turned up, unleashed some Kevin McCullough opinions. That was about as torqued as I'd been in a while. But you're telling me all I got to do is rock one of my 19 things from home field on Saturday, and I'm drinking for free. RSVP. We need to let people know, where can they RSVP?
We'll have the link in the bio.
The description of the episode. We'll put it in the description of the episode too.
Yeah, in every KUhearings.com article from this week, the newsletter, there will be a link as well. Haven't tweeted out because we have a lot of RSVPs already. And this thing's going to be at capacity. So, like, if you read, you get the boosty. That's what we're going to do.
You're expecting capacity. You're expecting at capacity at the bowl.
Yeah, the weather might open a few things up for us with the patio maybe. But, like, the capacity number I've been given, we're already approaching that. So,
should we bartend? Would they let us get behind the bar and sling some drinks?
I want nothing more. Like, I want to be slanging drinks to the Show It All gang.
Hell yeah.
For you, vodka sody for you, Tito's floater.
Pouring a few stiffies back there. I used to bartend, by the way. You know this. I used to bartend at the bowl. So I'm a legacy. I'm a legacy. I mean, they basically have to let me get behind the bar and deal a few drinks. I'm so excited, dude. I'm so excited.
I'm a legend here.
They got my picture on the wall, man. Like, where's your yearbook? Doesn't everybody here know about me? I'm so pumped, dude. It's gonna be a fun time.
I can't wait.
So I hope everybody comes up, shows up, bring a friend, bring your home field gear.
There's gonna be some giveaways as well. I think trivia prizes. Maybe a little exclusive gift for everyone who comes. I'm trying to get a few extra things as well, but I don't want to promise until they're locked down. So we're going to make it as fun as possible. Come hang out, say hello.
And what are the hours for this party?
12 to 4. Game is at 5. 4. Game is at 5.
Perfect. Give you plenty of time to stumble across campus and get into the field house.
Yeah, and we'll be around. Exactly. We'll be around that evening. Saturday night and Friday night as well. So I'm sure we'll be tweeting something about where we hang out. But
there will likely be some impromptu get-togethers both evenings.
Yeah.
You have an early flight? You have an early flight out on Sunday?
Midday.
Yeah, same. I was not about to pry myself out of bed at 7 a.m. to catch the first flight home.
I'm going to need
not happening.
Maybe a nice merchant's brunch.
Ooh.
I'm going to need something desperately bad on Sunday.
Into that. I'm into that.
Wait.
Okay, let's get into the show because we have a fun show planned. KU got a road win, Mike. That is cause for celebration.
We knew.
We've got some more starter bench numbers to look at. This issue doesn't seem to be solving itself. Johnny Furphy, massive game. Where does he rank amongst the best freshmen of the Bill Self era? We'll answer that question. And now, with only a handful of games left on the schedule, we'll take a look at the Big 12 race. Can KU still win the Big 12? And maybe more importantly, does it matter if KU wins the Big 12? We've got a new game to debut. All of that and much, much more. This is Could Be Wrong.
And I could be wrong. You guys could look at this. And I could be wrong on this. I could be wrong, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. You'd have to ask him. But
that was such a good intro.
I always love it when you compliment my intros because I know some are better than others. And I found the best method to having a good intro is just get through it. Don't stop. Don't take a detour. Don't try to put little funny jokes in. Just run through it so we can start the show because we're already 9 minutes into the episode and we really haven't talked about Kansas basketball whatsoever. So it's time.
Okay, let's do that. Let's talk Kansas basketball.
Okay, let's start with the obvious. And it's shocking to me that sitting here we're recording this on February 20th, that this is like a noteworthy thing. But KU won a game on the road. They beat Oklahoma 67-57. Mike, that is their second road win of conference play, just their third road win all season. And I know we've joked about it, like what happens when this team goes on the road? What's the issue? Is there something bigger than just bad luck or coincidence? But when you really think about all the years across the Big 12, and I know that everybody's, when Bill Self was racking up Big 12 titles and won, what did it end at, 15 in a row? Is that right? 14 in a row. That people had their various theories as to why KU kept doing it. And it was always, well, it's because Allen Fieldhouse is such a tough place to win. Nobody can go in there and get that. And you're shaking your head, and I'm shaking my head too, because, yeah, that part's important, but most teams take care of business at home. Maybe they don't go undefeated every year at home, but they take care of business, right? They protect their home court. KU's been so good because they go into the hostile environment where it's the biggest game of the year for the other team, and they've always been able to squeak out those really tough, hard-fought road wins, and that's always when the social media team for KU is posting the post-game speech, or Bill Self coming in just fired up saying it's the best win of the year when KU wins like 52-49. He's like, that's the best we've played in 6 years. I'm like, really? You scored 52 points, but that's
one of the best ones I can remember here. Yeah.
He always does that. I've always said one of these days KU's going to win a game like 32-28, and he's going to say, that's the best performance we've ever had in my time at Kansas.
It's so true.
But, dude, this year right. That hasn't been the case. And it's not just like, oh, a few things happen here or there. For the most part, they've been getting smacked when they go on the road. So how noteworthy is it to you that they were able to go down to Norman for the final time as conference foes and get that win against what is a pretty good tournament team in Oklahoma?
You know, it needed to happen. They got it done. Am I surprised? No. I think we talked about it at our last podcast. Like, they're going to respond. Normally, KU in Big 12 play will have one or two games they win that they have no business winning. We haven't seen that happen yet. Maybe that comes here at the end. In fact, it's been the other way. They've lost some games they really didn't have much business losing. Was it noteworthy? Look, that was a good win. They were favored by 3.5 points, 3 points. Mm-hmm. So they needed to do it. They got it done. They got, whatever mental block might have been in there. But no, I'm not surprised at all. They did what they should have done. They responded. This is 20 years of Bill Self basketball. They respond. These things happen. This is what we should expect. We've seen this story before.
Yeah, it's like comparing Kansas to Kansas, all the great Kansas teams, versus comparing them to who they've been this year. You compare them to Kansas, and you're right. This is what they do. This is what they're supposed to do. Shouldn't be surprised. But in a vacuum, this season, if it's not surprising, it's at the very least startling, just the fact that we are sitting here on February 20th and KU has 3 road wins on the season.
It's unusual.
They have 2 road wins since, when was that Indiana game? Right before Christmas? December 16th. 2 road wins since December 16th, which is just, it's shocking. I did say on the last episode, I want to remind everyone, I said on the last episode, KU wouldn't lose another road game this season.
Right.
And so far, 1-0, albeit their final 2 road games are against Baylor, who lost 1 game on the road. It was in at home. It was triple overtime versus TCU, and Houston, who hasn't lost at home all season. But I'm sticking to that. We'll get to record predictions later, but I'm sticking to the fact that this team won't lose on the road again this season.
That's what I'm saying. We talked about it last time, that we expected them to respond. And if you looked at the road losses and you said they're getting smacked on the road, okay, yes, Texas Tech was a historic smacking, but the rest is they've had other teams get red hot on the road, but a 5-point overtime loss to Kansas State, a 4-point loss at Iowa State, a 6-point loss at West Virginia, a 5-point loss at UCF, where they had double-digit leads in a lot of these.
Can I actually change my statement from before? Because you're right. They haven't been getting smacked, and I would actually separate their road, those 4 games, UCF, Kansas State, like I think those 2 games are grouped together, and Iowa State and West Virginia are together. Iowa State and West Virginia, both those teams basically went nuclear. They played their best games of the season. They couldn't miss a 3. The UCF and the K-State ones are the ones that stick out to me where it's just like, you played awful. So it's not about them getting smacked as much as it is. That was a bad way to describe it. It's more about they go on the road and play their worst basketball.
I agree.
That is, and which is it's almost worse. It's not about the final score. It's about why did you just play so horribly on the road where you played what in most cases 3-4 days ago and you looked like one of the best teams in the country. This has been a sort of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde season.
Oh, don't do that
for Kansas this year. Why? Is that nerdy? Is that
you're better than
that?
No, it's
is
just
that glasses
like,
on?
It's glasses on, but it's also like it's not original. I'm just calling it's a cliche. I'm anti-cliche, man.
Okay, if you want to call me out on cliches, that's fine. But
why not?
Just know you are now opening the door for new things that we can ridicule each other for. I've got loads. I've got so many loads of cliches that I can drop in.
Loads.
I'll talk about loads whenever I want to. I'll talk about my loads, talk about your loads, talk about everybody's.
The Jayhawks bench is not carrying much of a load.
Let's get into that. What was the tweet you sent out? What was the tweet that you sent out?
6 second half minutes against Oklahoma.
Say that again.
6 second half minutes against Oklahoma. Total.
For the KU bench.
Yeah.
So in that game in total, let's look at it. 21 minutes for the bench, 2 points. 2 points off 1 of 3 shooting. Those 2 points were from Jamari McDowell.
Okay. Do you want to... I've got a little hearing. So I guess I'll drop this. I haven't reported it yet. I plan on writing it tomorrow, so it'll be Wednesday morning, and so you'll probably be listening and kind of reading, but we're talking about it now for the first time. I think that 6-minute thing is more of the norm going forward. If KU can, they're going to keep the bench really basically off the court in the second half. That's, I think, their plan. The other piece of this is that Jamari McDowell stock trending up a bit. I think he's been looked pretty good since he came back from being sick. I just still don't think they're really going to experiment with McDowell come early March. But if you start seeing maybe a few more minutes go his way, that's why.
Okay. Hold on real quick. I don't want to stomp over the hearing, so let's just reiterate it again. You're basically saying that moving forward in the second half, we're not going to see the bench players play much at all. Like what we saw versus Oklahoma might be the norm moving forward.
I think ideally that will be the norm moving forward if they can. Obviously there are different game situations that'll cause that, but if things are going the way KU wants, you're probably not seeing much bench at all. You're going to see less Elmarco, less Timberlake in the second half.
Okay, so Jamari McDowell didn't play versus Tech or Baylor.
He was sick.
Yeah, he's played 1 game. He had 4 minutes and 2 points. That's enough to suggest that he's trending up?
No, I said I'm talking about in practice. I'm talking about the things that you haven't seen. He's been looking better. Coming back strong. I think they're pleased with his progression lately.
Okay, but what does that look? What does that mean?
Little.
How is that going to look during games?
If you see him get a few more minutes, that's why. They'll maybe give him a little bit more of a chance, but I wouldn't expect a major chance.
Because so taking Nicholas Timberlake's minutes?
Yeah. Yeah. It's Timby or full Timbo mode or Elmarco.
Yeah, Timberlake has actually been the one. I mean, obviously he was playing more with McCullough out, played 31 versus Baylor, played 29 versus Texas Tech. I don't think anybody would look at those two games and say, yep, this guy's starting to get it. It's my biggest takeaway from both parts of that hearing, both the fact that the bench isn't going to play as much and that Jamari McDowell trending up, could be playing more minutes. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out whose minutes he would be taking because those three guys have kind of just been
you're just
stuck
asking.
No. I know. I'm not. I wasn't insulting your take. I was insulting my sort of deductive reasoning and explanation for all
I
of
was
this.
also insulting your reasoning. Yeah.
No, I sensed that. You did not need to clarify that you were insulting me. Thank you though for just like doubling down on it. I appreciate it. I'll be honest, Mike. I'm a little surprised that at this juncture in the season, they're basically just saying we're throwing in the towel on Elmarko Jackson, a guy who was a top 20 recruit, a guy who was a McDonald's All-American. He was a starter for the first, 2 months of the season, and now we're just kind of saying it ain't going to happen with this kid.
I've got no guarantees on Jamari getting minutes from Elmarko. I've just heard he's been looking better. I have heard that what we saw in the Oklahoma game is more of what you can expect going forward. So whether Jamari gets Elmarko's chance early, where they try to see if a guy maybe has it that day. But especially on the road, they're just being like, what's our best option? Probably not playing Elmarko or Timberlake. It surprises me too a bit, but we saw it. We saw it in that Oklahoma game.
Yeah. Okay, so that Oklahoma game that we've been referencing, KJ Adams played 33 minutes, Mike, and that is the least amount of minutes that any of the five starters played. Kevin McCullough played 35 minutes coming back from injury. Furphy, Hunter,
37.
and Dewan all played 37 minutes in that game. And they won the game. They won the game on the road. We've known this all season long. There is a massive drop-off no matter who it is, what position, what's the situation. Massive drop-off when any one of those five guys goes to the bench and someone else has to come in. Can you remember a time this year where it resulted in a win? Because we have this almost every single season. Sometimes regular season, postseason, it can happen whenever. Do you remember one specific time, and I'm sure we'll get comments of people who do, one time this year where we came off a game and we said, wow, that guy's minutes off the bench were huge. He really provided KU with a spark.
Yeah, not in Furphy's huge minutes were kind of UCF, maybe TCU.
But that was the beginning of him becoming the starter.
When did KU go full Timbo? Was that the Baylor game?
Yeah, that was the game he started.
So maybe Baylor. But
you sure?
He started. No.
Yeah. And
no, there was never
also,
a time
that
when
was
I'm
not
like,
I would not use that as like a
There's never a time when
Nick.
it's like, no, I want to see more of that guy. I do.
He actually played well versus West Virginia, but they lost the game, so it kind of was a moot point.
So no, not really. And I think it also makes sense for KJ to probably get the fewest minutes of the group.
But dude, that is crazy. That is crazy. Like, even if you were to say, okay, it's a bad bench, it's crazy that there hasn't been one time where one of those guys, take your pick, has come in and provided a jolt to the team when the team needed something off the bench. It's not just having a bad bench. It's like you would almost think the odds are you play enough games that there's going to be one instance where a guy just comes in and gets hot. Even if he's not that good, he just kind of hit a few shots, maybe made some hustle plays. Not once. Hasn't happened one time, Mike.
I know. It is unlikely, especially considering you had the pedigree, I guess, of Timberlake and Elmarko.
I don't know how much pedigree Timberlake had.
Oh.
He came from Towson. Listen, okay. I've kind of talked about this, but like we said this last week, Nicholas Timberlake is the exact guy you brought in from Towson. The exact guy. Like the way he is playing is exactly what the scouting report suggested he would be. The only hope was that he's going to be able to fit in as like a role player. But like what he's doing,
like 40% from 3, 38% from 3. And it's like, all right, at least you have this like Brennan Green type thing. And it's not even that. It's
yeah, I mean,
to that. But next time
he was also taking like 8-9 threes a game, and he was playing at Towson.
Yeah,
in the CAA. You know what I mean? Like, it's just different. Like it's the same. It's the same thing we do with high school players going to college, and you can make the same argument for why El Marco's not playing well. Is just to say like, oh yeah, he killed it in high school. Well, now he's in the Big 12, so it's a little bit different. But that's why I'm trying to separate those two, because Timberlake's lack of success doesn't shock me that much, and to an extent, El Marco's doesn't really shock me either. It's just I'm surprised that the staff hasn't been able to find a way to get El Marco in some sort of a groove or find a very specified role to tap into the explosive playmaking, finishing athlete that it looked like they were getting.
Yeah, I think who's he driving on? Like, if he's trying to be this finisher and playmaker, he's just going against a paint with 5 dudes sitting in it. No, he hasn't looked like a great ball handler. So that's also, I think, some confusion. It's surprising, especially considering like people around KU were pretty high on El Marco when he came in. So like, yeah, we beat this to death. All KU fans have. But just remember this coming off season when KU is like going after a mid-major guard who averaged 18 points a game, and everyone's like, yes, it's going to be amazing. And then it's like, maybe not. Like,
yeah,
it's going to be tough. Like when the mid-major guard comes in.
Is El Marco gone? Like, are we just kind of seeing the end of him at Kansas?
I hope not. But like, you've got to wonder, like, what the 5-star All-American's going to do, who's like not playing. So,
hey, what do they normally do?
They normally leave.
They almost always leave.
I think KU would love to see when a guy gets benched, like them really like take a challenge, right? I don't think he's really responded with fire.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. At least early on. I haven't heard a little bit, but like, it wouldn't shock me at all if he left.
Yeah. So I want to go through some numbers really quick here as we wrap up this.
I'm still an believer, though. Sorry.
I am too, man. Like I'm a believer in his skill set. He just looks different when he has the ball in his hands. I said it last week. I'll reiterate it. He doesn't execute very well, but like his ability to put the ball on the deck, get past the first man, get to his spot, find an open jumper, usually, and I get it, mid-range jumpers, bad shots, etc. I get it. But if they're open and you can hit them, they're not bad shots. Look at Chris Paul. Like, he's kind of made a career out of it. And Marco can find his shot.
Like Chris Paul.
He looks impressive with the ball in his hands until the ball leaves his hand, at which point it is no longer impressive.
Yeah,
and there's just
really
I keep
use someone with that skill set too.
And that's every single year, almost every single year. When we're talking about KU and their title chances and what are they missing and what do they need, everybody says the same thing every year, which is, oh, they need a guy who can go get their own shot.
Yeah.
Every year. Oh, they need a guy who can put the ball on the deck, 5 seconds left, and go and get their own shot. Yeah, every team needs that guy. And when you have one of those guys, typically you do well in March. Remember Remy Martin? Like, what was he good at, Mike? Going and getting his own. Now, did he work very well in the flow of the offense? Not really. But when you needed someone to be a hero, he was that guy. Every team wants it, and I'm sure like they thought Arterio Morris was going to be that guy. He's out the door, and now you're scrambling trying to figure it out. But and maybe he's just not going to be that dude this year. And if he's not that dude this year, then he's probably never going to be that dude at Kansas, like we just talked about.
I think he can be. So I hope he sticks around. And it kind of cracks me up when people are like, it's going to be Timberlake's March. Like, I've seen nothing that gives me confidence in like Timby getting a green light. Though again, like would be awesome. I haven't seen moments of that, like where Remy was like, a Pac-12 player of the year or whatever. So, or first team all Pac-12. A little bit different.
Just a little.
Yeah. You got Furphy numbers.
I want to get to these just really quick before we get to Furphy stuff. You don't really have to respond to this, but I just thought these numbers were pretty startling. So in conference play this year, these are what KU's starters are accounting for. They are accounting for 81% of all minutes played, 88% of all points scored, 85% of all rebounds, 91% of all assists, 78% of all blocks, shout out Parker Brown, and 80% of all steals. So it's not just like, KU's not getting much from the bench, right? Because I'm sure there's a lot of teams in the country who are saying that right now. Oh, man, I sure could use some more stuff from the bench. That's
crazy.
You think you got problems? Let me show you problems. Like, the starters are basically accounting for 85 to 90% of every major stat.
Number got to go up.
Yeah, the starters' number's got to go up.
Yeah.
Well, that's the new thing. Here's the new take. Yes, we're nailing it. This is perfect. This is great. This is great. Stop asking for more from the bench. Ask for even more from the starters.
Ask for more from the starters.
Okay, Hunt, can you give us 40 tonight? Can you give us 40 minutes
Anything
tonight?
less than 40 is a disappointment.
Every single starter needs to go Devontae Graham mode, where they go on like a 7-game stretch without coming out of the game. Like, come on. It's time. You want to win a championship? This is what it takes.
That's it. Oh,
all right. I have a Johnny Furphy question for you because Furphy, I thought even though Hunter was really, really good, it was nice to see a little bounce back game from Hunter after a couple just subpar performances for his standards. Johnny, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 3 steals. I thought he was the best player on the floor for KU versus Oklahoma. I have a simple question for you, Mike. Where does Johnny Furphy rank amongst the best freshmen of the Bill Self era? And let's limit this conversation to comparable players like guards or wings. Like, I don't want you to compare him to Joel Embiid.
Okay, so we'll take Embiid out of the equation. This is wild because, well, my instinct is like, no, he's not quite there. But then I'm looking at KU's like stats and stuff right now too, and I'm like, well, maybe he is. So okay, Wiggins is who we're gonna throw out. Ben McLemore, Xavier Henry,
Kelly Oubre, Josh Jackson.
Yeah. Great one.
Grady.
Yeah.
Grady Dick. I think that's the list right there. I think those, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 guys. I think those 7 guys, if we're including Furphy, that's 7 guys. I would just tell you right off the bat, I'm putting him ahead of Xavier Henry. I'm putting him ahead of Kelly Oubre.
Definitely ahead of Oubre. Actually, yeah. No, I'm on with that. I'm in.
Wiggins and McLemore were both averaging 17 points a game. They were leaders on the team, like at least from how they were used. Same with Josh Jackson. Like, I don't think I can if you want to argue it, you can. I can't put him ahead of Wiggins, McLemore, or Josh Jackson.
I mean, yeah, all 3 of those guys were great, but I do think he's in that territory, which is surprising. I was looking at numbers this year so glasses on.
Okay, here we go. This is your glasses on moment of the week, brought to you by
Nerd.
Could Be You.
Could be you.
Yeah.
Could be you.
Your advertisement here.
That's genius, by the way. Okay, so in conference play, Johnny Furphy has the number 1 offensive rating in the Big 12. So he's been the
Okay, explain it for the non-nerds.
Yeah. Let me just, so I don't mess it up. Offensive rating meaning. It's
Are you
just
serious? You're good. You're looking it up right now. You can't provide a stat
No, I know it.
and be like, this is his rating, and then not even know what that stat means.
No, it's points produced per 100 possessions. But I wanted to make sure that was right, because I was like, does it include assists and everything? But I believe it is. Points produced per 100 possessions, a measure of a player's offensive efficiency. He is the number 1 guy in terms of points produced per 100. And also, like, I wanted to make sure Ken Palms
in the Big 12
was
in the Big 12,
by the way. In the Big 12, yes. In the country, this entire season, he's number 50. All right, and that includes him not playing much. So then it goes further, because I'm glad you were like, I've got Furphy stats, so I felt like I had to get some, by the way.
The glasses are going to be on for a while here, folks. So get comfortable.
Okay, you're going to go too. So he's first in the conference. If you take out the Kansas State game, in which I heard he was like throwing up in the locker room before, and he had a bad O rating, his average is 137.58 in conference play. And if you look at that since 2009, the earliest year I could find, that's the 13th best number anyone has put up in a college basketball season. He's ahead of Keegan Murray, who was a first-team All-American. He's ahead of Jimmy Butler, heard of him, Fred VanVleet, even Larry Markkinen. And then even if you keep his bad game in there, what is he? He's at, someone's going to be like, hey, you used that wrong. 134.9 for the season, which would put him at number 29, still ahead of Fred VanVleet and Keegan Murray.
Okay. TLDR, what Mike is saying is really Johnny Furphy is having one of the most efficient offensive seasons that we've seen in the last decade. Now, one important caveat that I'm going to add to this, and a caveat to this is that, and this is the same thing if you want to compare Furphy to other great freshmen of the Bill Self era, his usage, right, is much lower because he's not the number 1 option on this team. He's not the number 2 option. And typically, the more you shoot, the more the ball is in your hands, the lower your efficiency is going to be. What I would say, though, about Furphy and how it pertains to this team, how he compares to other great freshmen, is that a lot of the guys that you want to compare him to, the guys I mentioned that I would definitely have him above, Wiggins, McLemore, Josh Jackson, those guys were all focal points on their team. And you look at some of the numbers, like, McLemore averaged 17-5. Wiggins averaged 17-6. Those guys were taking 11, 12, 13 shots a game. Same with Josh Jackson. Furphy's in conference play. Furphy is taking 7 shots a game. He's averaging 12-6. He's shooting 40% from 3. How about this number, Mike? He's shooting 72% on 2-point attempts. That is number 1 in Big 12 play. Again, volume lower than a lot of other guys, but that's really not the point. It's about, this is your role. How are you going to execute it? You don't knock a guy because he's not the number 1 option. You don't knock a guy because you're not running the offense through him every possession down. You judge a player based off of how well they are executing their role. He's not the best freshman of the Bill Self era. I think you could argue he is executing his role as well as any freshman under Bill Self has. Not as important, right? Like Ben McLemore on that 2013 team, like he came in immediately, freshman. Yeah. You're the guy. You're the go-to guy. Hit a lot of clutch shots. Led that team. That was a phenomenal team, by the way.
Yeah, he was really good.
Same thing with Andrew Wiggins. People want to knock Wiggins because that team wasn't as good. They were a 2 seed. They lost 10 games. I feel like there's this weird rewriting of history because Wiggins kind of disappeared in the tournament. Go look at the numbers that he put up that year on a team surrounded by freshmen. He was damn good. Same thing goes for Josh Jackson. I think, honestly, the best debate is, do you think Johnny Furphy this year is having a better season than Grady Dick had last year?
I think he's probably having a better Big 12 run thus far.
Okay. I have the Big 12 numbers. Big 12 numbers, Johnny's averaging 12-6, shooting 40% from 3. Grady last year in conference play is averaging 13-5, shot 36% from 3. But Grady took 4 more shots a game than Johnny is taking.
Well, what you're saying, feel like we need a bigger load from Furphy.
He does. He needs to drop a few more.
We want Furphy's loads.
Mm-hmm. He needs to protect his loads, and he needs to drop them.
Dude, more loads.
It is. It's impressive, and I think I would say this too. If KU was having like the season we thought they were going to before the season, I think the glasses can finally come off. They've been on for a while. If KU was having, that was the longest glasses on moment of the podcast.
My love.
If KU was having the season that we expected them to when they were preseason number 1, if they were sitting here at, I don't know, how many games have they played so far this year? 25. They were sitting here at 21-4, 22-3. I think he'd be getting a lot more love as like, holy cow, this is a really special player. But when things are going poorly, when you're losing games, you're trying to figure out what's going wrong, you don't highlight the stuff that's going right as much. You don't highlight the fact that Hunter Dickinson's having this incredible All-American season. You don't highlight the fact that Johnny Furphy is one of the best freshmen of the Self era because we're too busy trying to fix the issues. That's too bad, but it's just the way it goes.
I mean, you're right, but we just fixed it, and it's by having a bigger load from Johnny. Or more loads.
Do you think that's realistic? Like, are we actually sitting here saying Furphy needs a bigger role, or do you think that maybe this is the sweet spot for him at this point in his career, which is, hey, you're super efficient, you're doing exactly what's asked. We don't want to put too much on your plate. Maybe the efficiency goes down. Maybe it just doesn't work as well. Where do you come out on his usage moving forward? I mean, because it's pretty low. It's pretty low despite the impressive numbers.
Yeah, I think what we've generally seen in Big 12 play, 3 to 4 threes a game is probably about right. Maybe a couple more looks, but like the offense should run through Hunter. He's great on the break too. So like a couple, I think his usage could come up a little bit. Like, would you trade a McCullough shot for a Furphy shot? Is that how basketball works?
Well, what we don't see
shot?
from Furphy, Furphy's game can be boiled down pretty simply to transition, dunks, and spot up threes. Yeah, and it's like great. It's like, hey, he's great at both of those things. So, do we want to expand his role? Maybe that's just what he's best at and what he's comfortable with at this point. So, would I love to see? Yeah, he's really, really good at that. He's good. So, it's tough for me to sit here and say, no, use him more. Like, have him put the ball on the deck and go get his shot. If he was great at that, I'm sure he'd already be doing it. I'll tell you this right now. I got to take, timestamp this, bookmark this, put it in your calendar. If Johnny Furphy comes back next year, and I'm not convinced he's gonna, National Player of the Year candidate.
Wow.
If Johnny Furphy returns for his sophomore season, I think he is putting up like maybe this isn't National Player of the Year candidate, but the numbers in my head are like 19, 7, and 3. So that's at least Big 12 Player of the Year candidate.
Yeah. Him and Hunter, it'd be really fun. So Well, we got more time in the future to figure out what Johnny's doing.
Wait.
I hope.
Scoopy?
I think. If I,
Whoa,
I would
no,
bet on
say it. Say it.
What do you want me to say?
Say what you're
I
saying.
think there's a good chance Hunter's back next year, but I don't think anything is solid or certain yet. But I think KU's building their team thinking he'll be back.
Okay. One last question and we can move on.
See how things end.
More likely to return next year. Hunter Dickinson or Johnny Furphy?
I think there's a good chance both are back. I'll say Hunter for now because Sam Vecini put Furphy in the lottery today in his mock draft. But I will say Vecini's a pretty excitable guy, and he lives in Australia. So
he does.
I'm taking that with a grain of salt.
Vecini's my boy. We can get him on the pod. I've interviewed him like a dozen times. And
what are we doing if we should do that?
Usually it's an end of the season thing. You don't do NBA draft stuff mid-season. But he's usually not been super high on KU players. He said that. He's admitted that in the past that there have been a lot of guys coming out that he's just kind of looked at and said, I don't really see it. So
Australia.
We'll get it. Book it. Sam, if you're listening, probably not. But if you are,
Sam,
open invitation.
Daddy's coming.
We'll get him on. We'll get him on later in the season. Okay, we got one more thing, and then I want to get to a game. 5 games left in the regular season. You got Texas on Saturday. We'll be there. BYU, Baylor, K-State, and Houston. KU currently sitting at 8-5 in Big 12 play. Houston is in sole possession of first place. They're at 10-3. Iowa State's at 8-4. Baylor's at Iowa State's at 9-4. Baylor's at 8-4. KU sitting there at 8-5. Can KU still win the Big 12? I know officially, maybe yes, they can. You get to play Baylor. You get to play Houston. That's kind of important. So, you have a chance to win the Big 12. Realistically, though, are you entertaining it?
Yeah, I'm entertaining it because we've seen KU pull off some miracles like this before when it comes to the Big 12. Some of these other teams tend to wilt a bit as the season goes on. Iowa State's in the conversation. Normally, they blow it in hilarious fashion. No matter what, Iowa State's season is probably ending in a funny way. And then you have the game against Houston. So, yeah, they can get a share. I don't think there's much of a chance at an outright. But yeah.
No, but at this point, we don't care about
a share. So yeah, they can. They can.
Dude, you're so right, by the way. There have been so many funny seasons. I remember 2009, Oklahoma had this massive lead. Looked like they were going to win it. And I think they lost 3 of their last 5. KU ends up winning that one outright. 2018 is another really good one. It was Texas Tech. Who did they have that year? Keenan It was Evans that year. It was Keenan Evans that year. It was Culver the next year.
Got it.
But Texas Tech had this big lead, and then they lost 4 in a row. 4 in a row in February. And then I think KU went down there in the midst of that streak, won at Texas Tech to clinch it. So awesome. A lot of people will do this game. I don't really do it as much. Don't blame me if you do, where you start looking at everybody's schedule. Where are the losses? They could lose that game. KU has to win this game. It's kind of a futile errand. At this point, all you have to do is look at KU and say, win out. Win out, or just pick a number. How many wins gets it done if you're Kansas? And I think at this point, if you told me that over their final 5 games, KU goes 4-1, I think there's an okay shot they get a share. If they run the table, though, they're going to get a share. I don't know how. I don't know who Houston's losing to. Everybody does that. Well, where's the loss? It's the Big 12. It could be against anyone. It can be against Oklahoma State. It can be against UCF. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be a lot of pressure on Houston, their first time in the Big 12, coming down the stretch of trying to win their first year in. Could it happen? Yes. But just saying, there's one team that's kind of built for these moments. There's another team that hasn't proven it yet. And I know there's a few teams in between as well. But I think if you go 5-0, You're getting a share, and I still think you might have a shot going 4-1.
I'm with you on winning out. 4-1. I guess it's possible if KU like loses to Baylor and beats Houston. But yeah, I'm with you too. Like I'm not really looking at the schedules. KU takes care of business and they've got a shot at it. But like I don't really care.
You don't care about winning the Big 12?
No, we've done it. I'm over it. You know what happened after the streak was broken? They won a national title.
People forget that.
Yeah. It's such a...
Yeah. I kind of agree.
I really believe that like a lot of KU teams have peaked in Big 12 play because there was so much emphasis on the streak, keeping it going, and it didn't help them like gear up for a late season run. I don't think mentally. Like
no, but you're forgetting something.
To be at the end of the year, and it wasn't. And I know Self believes that like you win the Big 12, you get a good seed, your odds go up. Like that's probably true, but like whatever, that's nerd shit. And I'm not putting my glasses on. My feeling is that I don't want them focused on playing their best ball the next 5 games.
But you're forgetting something really important here, Mike, which is that if KU were to win the Big 12 title based off everything that's happened this season, we would be missing out on Fran Fraschilla for the 13th time, naming this Bill Self's most impressive coaching job of his time at Kansas. And I think Jay Billis is probably he's guilty of it too. I mean, those are the two guys who call the most KU games. But every single time this happens, where it's like, it looks like KU might not win it all. They lost a few games in January, February, and they win it. They'll say, I think this is Bill Self's best coaching job. I'll tell you what. With this team, with everything they've been through, I don't think Bill Self's had a better season as the coach. We do it every year. But now here we go. This is when it gets juicy. I actually think this would be true. If he did it this year with this bench, you have 5 guys on the team. Like basically, you have 5 guys on the roster. I don't care about the bench guys. There are 5 guys on this team. If you win the Big 12 with 5 guys, 2 centers, one of whom is 6'2", a point guard who's 5'9", most impressive season of Bill Self's tenure.
I hope it's a conversation we have, because I would really want to dig. There have been a few where they've like lost everyone and brought a new team back. Though this is fairly I'm not there. I get it. I look forward to having that conversation.
And I look forward to the day when an analyst like Fran Fraschilla will go on TV and say this is Bill Self's worst coaching job. When is that going to happen? When are one of these analysts going to actually say something like that and say, you know what? I got to say this is probably the worst coaching performance I've ever seen from Bill Self. Never had a bad one.
We need ESPN to hire Bruce Weber. That's how it would happen.
That's an easy way to get every KU fan to cancel their ESPN Plus subscription.
I would love it. That would be must-watch TV. Are you kidding me? This guy would just be in pain every KU game. I want to see it.
Imagine listening to that voice breaking down ball screens and baseline out-of-bound plays for 40 minutes all season long.
Try hard. It's like they're really getting loose balls. Bruce, they're down 30.
Oh God, that'd be good.
Yeah,
that'd be good. Okay, hey, can we finish with the game? Can we play a little game?
Yes.
All right, I got a new game that we are debuting here today. It's a very simple one, probably the easiest game that we've ever come up with. Guess that player. Mike, we are going to be competing head-to-head. We each have a Kansas basketball player picked, and we get to go back and forth asking each other questions, trying to guess the other person's player. The first one to guess the other person's player wins. Okay, so let's go last 20 years. Is that cool?
Yeah. Did this player play in the Final Four?
No, he did not. Was your player a starter?
No. I don't want to ask the question you just asked.
You can ask the question I just asked. It's strategy.
Nope.
I'm going to do it to you. If you ask a good question, I'm going to repeat it back to you.
You didn't think my Final Four question was good?
I might get to it later.
Is this player uniquely remembered for any reason?
That's such a hard... What do you mean? What kind of question is that? How am I going to... Uniquely remembered for any reason? I mean, that's such a subjective question. That's so bad.
All right.
I don't know how to...
I think it's a good question, to be honest. We'll cancel that question. That's fine. Make up the rules. Is your player from the Midwest?
No, he is not.
Okay.
Is your player a guard?
No.
You had to think about that for a little bit, which makes me think that maybe he could be, or maybe he could be considered a guard.
Or did I?
Okay.
Is your player a big?
No. Did your player average over 10 points in any given season?
No.
Okay.
Did your player average over 10 points in any given season?
No. Was your player a big man?
No. I'm going to say I think he could have been classified as a guard, so I'll give you that, by the way, in retrospect.
What if, by the way, I just want to really quick, what if we have the same player? That would be incredible. But go ahead. It's your question.
It is kind of headed that way, huh?
I know.
Did your player play when we were in college? 2010 to 14? Or were you 15?
I was 29 to 13.
Okay, 29 to 14.
And he did not play when I was in. He did not play when I was in college.
What about me?
Well,
I said we.
You asking a follow-up question? No, I answered your question.
Fine.
I have not given you a second follow-up.
Fine. Well,
What kind of
you didn't exactly
bush
answer
league
it.
question is that? Was your player a prolific shooter?
No.
I've got nothing right now.
Me too. Did your player play 4 years?
No. Did your player play 4 years?
No. Is your player from the U.S.?
Yes.
That was a bad question. But I kind of had a
maybe
guess. I had a guess doing.
Yeah, okay.
I was thinking Galindo.
Was your player a one and done?
Not a one and done.
So not a one and done, but didn't play 4 years.
Which I assume is you as well. I'm going to assume that because he didn't average 10 points and wasn't a big. Is your player from the West Coast?
No. Did your player ever play in a Final Four?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That was big.
Okay.
That was big.
Let's go. Okay, that was big.
That's a breakthrough.
That was big.
Is your player Brennan Green?
Yes.
No way!
Oh my God.
Oh!
Damn you.
Woo!
Damn you. Okay, I get one final guess. So he played in a Final Four in the last 20 years, which means...
I know you more than you know you.
It's not a guard, but it's not a big, not a one and done, didn't play 4 years, not a guard, not a big.
Oh, I said he can be classified as a guard.
So it's a wing.
Yeah.
So it's a wing that played in a Final Four.
Yeah.
Is your player Travis Relaford?
No.
Oh, he played 4 years. Oh, God.
You want to guess again?
You're going to give me an extra guess?
Yeah. If you could see Nick's face right now, he is thrilled about this extra guess.
Wow, you're just giving me a handout. I wouldn't have given you one, but you're a good guy. You're a better person than I am. My guess is going to be Brandon Rush.
No. I think I said he didn't start.
God fucking damn. See, I need to write down the answers.
Down my questions.
Oh, I'm stupid. I didn't write down any of my questions, so I completely forgot about him. Is it Connor Tehan?
Nope.
Is it Kevin Young?
Roderick Stewart.
He's not a guard. Roderick Stewart. Unbelievable. I give you Brandon Green, you give me Roderick Stewart. You know what I mean? How would I have ever gotten to that?
Rod is really memorable. Because
Tell you what, you win.
For the record, like...
Yeah, because he shattered his kneecap.
Yeah, I was worried you were going to get, like, hung up on, like, did he play in a Final Four? He was on a Final Four team. Like, I don't think you were...
And I think, you know what? And I think, and I'm a little pissed off that you didn't just say he was a guard. I don't think there's anything that would have ever led me to getting Roderick Stewart.
He didn't play one. But I corrected myself like
6'2"?
on that. He's 6'4", 6'5", 6'4" probably. Also shout out
as a guard.
Also shout out one of my favorite all-time non-KU players, Loderick Stewart.
Yes. Yeah, Roderick and Lodrick. And, I think it is worth mentioning for no other reason than it's just like a very interesting little trivia question someday. Roderick Stewart actually started 8 games in 2008.
Wow. Early in the year, right? Early.
Yeah, I think it was when Brandon Rush was injured.
Yeah.
So we will be sending that in. We will be sending that in for an official review. We're going to send that to the board. They're going to get
Brandon Green.
Yeah. Yeah. How the fuck did you get Brandon Green right there?
I don't know.
Because you weren't even close. I was even.
Like, he's going to be a win.
Because if you would. Yeah, but if you would have asked, because I asked you the 3-point question, and if you would have asked that and got it, I was afraid you were going to do it, and then I was like, oh, he's going to get this. He's going to get this in like 2 guesses, and you just threw a fucking dart at the wall and got it.
I don't know how, but I did. Yeah.
So I will be officially protesting on a couple of regards. You didn't.
Fine.
You said he wasn't necessarily a guard. You said he didn't start. Both of those things. Hey, listen, it's not up for you and I to decide. We'll go to the board. They'll issue their ruling, and then we'll find out exactly what happened.
Fine. I'm a better fan. That was really fun. I want to do more of that.
Mike wins one. We'll do another. We could just do that every week. That's the easiest game ever.
Yeah.
We should just do one of those every single week. Okay, cool. We'll be back again next week. Hey,
Get the ball.
Friday. This Friday, we're in town. Saturday, the Bull, 12 to 4. Wear your home field gear. Drink on the house. Eat on the house. Hang out with me and Mike. Let's save the fucking season.
Hashtag Furphy loads.
Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. See you this weekend. Talk to you next week.